Good morning, everyone. It's Joni here at Joni's Journals. How are you? I am back to have some fun with the Creep on June collab that's been going on for the past 8 days. And I thought we would do something a little bit different. I have not picked a particular day. I have just picked some elements from the kit that we're going to play with today. But before I get started, I'm going to tell you how this came about. A few months ago, Tracy had come out with a little kit, and I absolutely fell in love with all of the little images, and I decided to create little worlds inside some tins. Now, they could be candy tins, they could be tins that you purchase off of Amazon, which is where I've gotten most of mine. And so I created little worlds inside the tins using Tracy's elements and some of my rock candy glitter from Tim Holtz. And that developed into Tracy and I kind of combining thoughts on sizes and things, and the different kinds of size tins that I had and that she had. And we just compared sizing, and she came out with a cute little kit. It's a tin topper kit, and it included some of these beautiful images and also this little mini journal. The kit is available. It's on her Etsy, and I will link it for you below. And so I started playing with that, and I created the tin using her kit and the journal. And then I began developing on it and adding some little shaker pieces. This one has a little glitter and a dried flower. And I also added the journal to this one. Excuse my printer. It has a bellyache, and I don't know what's wrong with it lately. And this one has some little glitter elements in it. You can see that I added. And again, I have the journal that I made into two pieces in this case. And finally, the last one, I never did the journal for this one, but this one has also got some little dried baby's breath in it. And so I was trying to come up with something different to do other than just to keep creating tags. So yesterday I sat with my tins and I created, in this case, a little world. You can see I have some of the images on here and one of the background papers. And I took one of the little camera lenses and I said, wow, CinemaScope. That was big back then in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And in this one, I created a little scene that's kind of 3D, and I'm hoping that it shows. And what I did was I took one of the little tags, it was the one with the little library, and cut out some of the furniture elements, and I raised them up with my double-faced foam tape. And in this case, I put one layer on the lamp, and on the chair, I put on 3 layers to try to give it that 3D look and make it look like a little room. Hang on, I think Roger needs to go out. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry about that. Let me move my chair in. There is a little bunny, keeps running through my backyard. And he's been there since last night, and Roger is on the hunt. He's caught 2 rabbits before and brought them home to mommy. Lucky me. And he's not as fast as he was 2 years ago, and the Florida heat gets him down, but he wants that rabbit. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So in this one, I created a little 3D scene, the living room, behind the lens that I used one of the cracked lenses, I can't remember what they called, the cracked windows that Tim Holtz came out with last year. I used a piece of that on that one. And then this was actually my first attempt, and I thought that this would be the one that we could make together today, okay? It is a little tin that I have turned into a bit of a photo album. And so what I did was I took some of the photos from the kit and I attached them with some embroidery thread. And so you can pull them out, and it is Rose and Jeffrey's family album. And as you can see, there's a lot of twins. This one's a little stuck. In Rose and Jeffrey's family. And yeah, the whole album lifts out. And in the background, we again have another little scene. This one's not really 3D. There's just all of the elements have been glued to a piece of the background and created a little living room. And the elements that are the furniture, let me just put this back. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's tuck these in. Come on. 5, 6, 7, 8, and I have a little charm attached on the end of this one to kind of be my pull. But the elements that come in the kit, the furniture elements, and there's a little one of those moths and the Craftly Hall symbol. The furniture elements are created in such a way that they have their own shadows to them. And so even though it's not popped up with the tape, it still gives an idea of depth. And so that's how I created that one. You can see here I have the little table in the front, and I cut out one of those little photos. There's a page that has all the photos across the top. I cut the frame off just so that it would fit better. And so yeah, this is what I thought we would make today. The way I began, I went and I bought a case of these black metal tins from Amazon. And I took my little sanding disc and I roughed it up so that it would look a little bit older. You can keep sanding as much as you want. I went around and I tried to expose as much of the silver underneath that I could simply by using this little sanding disc, and to try to take away some of the newness of it. And then I do a little bit on the back here, and you can see it just basically scratches it up a bit, like so, to make it look like, yeah, it's been rolling around a while, and our new homeowners have found it in their attic. You can see it takes off just a little bit, but on the edges, if you sand around, you can expose most of the metal and give it those beat up looking corners, which are showing up a lot better in the camera than I thought. And you can go as far as you like. Mostly I've done it on the outside, on the top. It also helps to give the metal box a little bit of a tooth for the glue to grab onto. And then on the inside, what I will also do is I will just rough up the inside so that it looks a little bit beat up in here too. And just go around. And again, this is more just like I said before, to give it a little bit more tooth for the glue and the paper to grab onto. I had thought of possibly taking a little hammer that I have and denting the can, but I was too afraid that the can wouldn't then close correctly. So I just kind of stayed away from that. But yeah, that's how you start out. You take your little tin, and even if you only have the silver, I bought the black on Amazon, you can still rough it up and make it look damaged and old. So what I've done, I've gone ahead and I've cut out all of the elements, and the way that you create your backgrounds or your pieces for the front and the inside of your tin. Now these are measurements that Tracy and I worked out, and you might have to fiddle with it, but your basic starting measurements should be 2¼ inches by 3½ inches. Now what I've also done, you can see I've rounded the corners. That helps the pieces to fit a little bit better inside when you're placing them in and laying them down, okay? It just, because the corners are rounded on the box, it just makes these pieces fit a little bit better. Now on these, you can see that I did add some glitter. And there's glitter in here, making it look like little snowballs. Where's the one that I want? Is this it? No, I think it's this one. And on this one, that one may have had it a little bit. I put some glitter on the bottom to make it look like the little squirrel was sitting in the snow. You can add glitter. You could add the crypt paste if you have some. But because this was just to be a little bit of a photo album, I didn't really want to make it look too grungy inside. So, as I was saying, you need 2 1/4 by 3 1/2 inches. That's your base starting point. You may have to shrink it a little bit here and a little bit there. Mine actually work out to be about 2 7/8 by 3 3/8 for all, good purposes. That's what fits inside my tin. But start with those measurements, and then I inked them and I rounded the corners. Now, just so this video won't be super long, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and I am going to glue my, no, actually I'm not. No, I can't do it that way. I'm just going to go get everything set up, because what I want to do is glue the images down to my piece of paper first, and then add my piece of paper to the box. Sorry about that. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to get all set up, and I'm going to get all the elements together for the inside room and for the outside room, and I will be right back and we will start gluing them together. Okay, guys, I'll be right back. See you in a bit. Okay, guys, I am back. You can see that I've laid out the elements on each of the cards that I want to use in the different spaces within the tin, and I'm keeping this one here alongside, so maybe you can use it as a reference, or you can see where I'm going to place things before I do it. Now you'll notice that some of this stuff, particularly the picture and the bureau back here, are hanging off the edge of the paper, and that's done simply because I want to give the impression that you're looking out into something. Don't be surprised if I have to get up in a few minutes, because I can hear Roger barking outside, and I'm sure he's going to want to come in soon. But we can start, and he can wait a few minutes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some glue onto this portion of the bureau, because, or the armoire, we are going to end up cutting off parts of it. So let me just put glue. We want to make sure you get close to the edges on this. You don't want this popping out. And so I'm just going to add the glue, and I am going to take my bureau, my armoire rather, and then I'm also going to take my table, because I want to make sure that my placement is correct. And I am going to glue the armoire down and hopefully get it straight. Oh, it's pretty straight. There we go. That's a little bit better. So we're going to glue our armoire down, and then we are going to take, and we are going to take our little photograph. Again, this is one of those little photos that I've cut out of the frame. Here, I'll show you the frame. This also comes on one of the pages in the kit. I cut it smaller so that it fits better into my little scene here. And again, I'm just going to put some glue, probably on a little bit more than half of the photo. And I'm going to try and get it sort of centered against the armoire, because as you know, armoires are kind of tall pieces of furniture. So this might be hung on an arrangement on the wall alongside the armoire. And again, I'm just going to grab it and make sure that my photo is straight. Okay. And then last but not least, I'm going to take my little table here on the rug, and this I'm going to put glue all over, because it's going to be centered on our front piece. And so I'm just going to spread some glue all the way around and up the post and up on that little finial there on top. Okay, because we want to make sure it stays stuck. And this piece I'm going to place in the center of our room, like so. Okay, and I'm going to push it down. Okay, there we go. And of course, I put my scissors away. Oh. So I hope everybody's having fun with this. I do have several of the days already prepared and one for us to do together. And that video will come out in a few days. I do need to apologize. I posted my day 6 and day 7 video on day 7, and I really didn't mean to do that. And so I have to apologize to Kerry because I didn't want to post my video for the same day as hers on her day. But it happened, and I'm sorry about that. But then I realized Kerry's in another part of the world, and by the time my video came up, she was probably sleeping. So you can see I've trimmed off our little excess so that it looks like we're just looking at a portion of the room, just like here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, my own little handiwork, I just figured this corner was a little bit empty, so I made a pretend little nail in the wall with my Sharpie, like so, and I did a little bit of a string to make it look like it was just hanging off the nail on the wall. I don't know if you can really see, I did it there. I don't know if you're seeing that, but so now we have the top of our little tin prepared, and I have glitter everywhere from those little tins that I showed you before, but we'll do our best to wipe it off. So there is our outer room, okay? And now we can work on our inner room. I'll open the tin so you guys can see again. Let me pull out the photos here. Okay, I'll lay them over here. And now we're going to do the inside of the room. Now you can see I've already attached the little clock because this was a little bit fiddly. And so I just figured, let me not fuss on video. I'll just get it done before. But what I've done is I've taken the clock and I've centered it to that tiny little dot right there. And I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a little dot right there. And I centered it with the little dot on the clock. And so I just figured, let's get that part done, and this will make it so much more easier. And my friends on video won't be saying, oh my God, Joni, get this over and done with. So now I want to make it look like my clock is in the my chair is in the foreground. So I'm going to raise my little bookcase here up off the floor, and I'm going to put it right about here. Okay, and bring it just a little bit in. Let's move this over so I'm more centered here. Okay, and then I'm just going to lay everything out to make sure that I like the way it looks. And I'm going to grab my little chair, and I'm going to kind of put that off to the side, like so. And then, last but not least, I'm going to hang my chandelier up in the corner here, like so, and put it up a little bit further so that it gives the illusion of being above the clock that's on the bookcase there. And that's the way everything is going to go. So I'm going to begin by gluing down the largest piece, which is the bookcase. And again, since we're going to be cutting most of it off, I'm only going to put glue starting around here alongside. You can see I glued the clock down. So I'm going to put some glue along here in a straight line. And again, try to catch your edges. Okay, and catch that little corner there. And of course, we want to glue our clock down to our paper too. So we're going to put some glue, being careful again to catch the edges. And then put some glue in the middle. And then I am just going to lift this little background piece up. And I'm going to figure out about where I want everything to be and make sure that it's lined up nice and straight. And it appears to be straight. And then I'm just going to push down and glue it down like so. Okay. And you can see we're going to have to trim it off here. And then I'm going to grab my little chair and I'm going to put glue all around on the legs. You want to make sure they're glued down because they are a little bit fiddly. And onto the one arm that's going to be glued to the page. And I'll put a little bit into this arm too, arm of the chair rather, so that it stays glued down. We're going to end up cutting a portion of it off, but again, we do want to make sure it stays put. And then I'm just going to place my chair down with the leg on the right, almost hitting that corner there. And I'm just going to adjust it so it sits straight. Push it down, make sure it stays stuck. And then I'm going to grab my little chandelier. And I'm going to put glue mostly along the lower half of the chandelier because part of the top is going to get cut off because, again, we want to give the illusion of depth. So we want to put it up pretty high as we can get it, onto here. And make sure it's kind of straight. I may have put it a little too close to my clock, so I'm just going to slide it over a bit. And there you have it. There is the scene for the inside of our tin. Okay, I'm just going to take, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut off the excess pieces that we don't need. Okay, the portion of the bookcase that doesn't need to be there. And again, the portion of the arm of the chair that we don't need. And then I'm going to cut around the chandelier as well and get off that little excess there, like so, and trim that. Okay, and then we're going to have to go around and we're going to have to ink those edges again because we don't have any ink there. And then finally, let's lift our little pack of photos up. Whoop. Grab our little charm so it'll lay on the top. Keep everything in. Tuck those in. They do fit nicely. It's just I'm fiddling so much with it that I'm throwing them all offline. Okay, and then we're going to do this portion. And I'm going to grab, this is the little moth. There's a pair of moths in the kit. And I just figured since we're in an old house looking at an old photo album, that there quite possibly could be a little moth flying around in the room that just has taken up habitation and is sitting there on the wall watching us look through the photo album. And get some glue all over our pretty little moth. And we're going to put the moth a little bit down from the top, but not too far down because we want to make sure we can fit our little Craftly Hall, what do you call it? Little sign here, also on the same little page with the moth. And again, you do want your edges to stay stuck, so try to go as close to the edge as you can with a line of glue. And I'm just going to put a little in the middle. I'm going to try and center that on here and make sure it's straight. Okay, so now we have all of our little elements done. Okay, I'm going to put these aside. Actually, yeah, I'm just going to put these aside for now, and we will ink. Remind me to ink, gang. Remind me to ink. And we're going to create our photo album now. Let me just put my pin in my glue. Someone had asked where I got my pin for my teddy bear glue, my Barely Arts glue, my long thin pin. It actually came with the glue. It came in this little kit with the glue. It comes with the different tips, and it came with a pin. So yes, I didn't purchase this separately. It did come with the glue. I know that it is a bit of a pain to try to find real stainless steel pins. Excuse me. Which are the only ones that do not rust when you put them in your glue. For this one, this is actually a jewelry piece, and it is one of those, I forget what they're called, but they're the long pins that you use to create jewelry with, and it has the little eye on the top. And this one, although I don't know if it's stainless steel, it doesn't seem to be rusting in my glue. So yeah, that can be a bit of a pain. Okay, in order to create our photo album, what I did was I took the background. I have a portion of it here. This is the background page that I chose to use because I put backgrounds on my photos. I did do the back of them as well. And I took my little 1-inch punch and I punched out 8 circles because I'm using 8 photos. And I inked around the edges of those. And so I'll show you, that's how we're holding our string onto the back of our photo album. Now I have begun putting some of the pictures together, okay? And what I do is I turn them over and I take my embroidery thread and let me get those out. I just didn't know which ones were done and which ones weren't. Generally, what I did was I didn't measure my string. I was kind of working off of my little spool here, but that's a bit fiddly, and I just figured, let me just cut a really, excuse me, a really long piece of string. And so this way I could show you guys what I did. So basically what I do is I took and I laid my string across the centers or as close to the center of my photo backs as I could, making sure they're all facing in the same direction, okay? In this case, they're all facing up, okay? And I began on my left with my first picture, and I laid down the string and I left a long enough piece so that I have something to grab when I open it up and I want to lift my photos out. And then using my mat here, I lined up my photos on the line. And yesterday I had put 2 inches of string between each photo, and I found that to be a little bit long. So today I changed it to just about 1.5 inches, and I have it lined up, my photos lined up 1.5 inches apart. And then I lay down my string and I glue my little circles on the back to hold my string in place. So as I said, I've begun doing this already. I've done 4 of them, but I've left some for us to do together. Excuse me. Let me just grab a sip of my coffee. I think it's the glitter. I must be eating it. Okay. So now I'm going to line up my photo like so, and this is 1 inch, and this little dotted line here is 1/2 inch. And so I take my next photo, which is this one, and I'm going to slide it under my string 1.5 inches apart, or thereabouts, and line it up so that it's straight with my photo that's next to it. Again, making sure it's facing in the right direction. And I'm going to take and I'm going to lay my string across the back. And I'm going to grab one of my little circles here. Okay. And I'm going to use my PVA glue because it comes out a little bit thicker. And I'm going to put glue all over the back of my little circle here, like so. And then I'm just going to push the circle down onto the back of my photo and hold it down for a second. Okay, so that my string stays stuck. And I'm going to slide across and I'm going to do the same thing again. Now, the reason I left this photo is because it's a different size than the others. It's a short square photo, but it will still work. So what I do is I line up my photo so that it's just about even in height away from the other photo, okay? And I'm just going to move it over. And then again, I'm going to slide it so it's about 1.5 inches away. Pull up my string and center it on the back of my photo. And I'm going to glue this one down like so. Again, and push down onto the string so that it's relatively centered. As you can see, the other ones kind of flip and flop around, but that just makes it a little bit more fun. And it gives it a little bit more interest. Okay, now I'm gonna, again, I have 2 photos left, And so I'm going to kind of center that one right about there. And I'm going to grab my next photo, which is this one again, which is a little bit longer. It's rectangular as opposed to being square. I'm going to line it up so it's 1.5 inches away. And again, I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but let's make sure that one's staying straight and that our string is in the middle. Okay. And there are other ways to do these. You could do an accordion fold. I wouldn't recommend using a lot of photos if you're going to do an accordion fold. It can get a little bit thicker than you might want it. If you're going to use paper, you can, of course, use fabric if you wanted to use coffee dyed gauze or even just plain gauze, cheesecloth, I mean. You could do it that way. I've seen people do it that way. But I just figured I'd make it quick and easy and make it using elements, things that I know that people might have. Not everyone has cheesecloth. So I figured using string would work out and be probably a little bit more user-friendly for others to do. And we're going to just do our last one. Whoop. And then we're going to put it aside. And I'm going to go and I'm going to grab my dauber and my ink. And I'm going to ink around those edges. And I'm not going to make you watch. I will pause the video. Okay. And there we have that. Now we're going to leave this excess tail here hanging off because I have to show you how we're going to attach our little photos to the inside of our box. Okay, but I'm going to go and I'm going to ink and I'm going to be right back. Okay, I have gone ahead and I have inked the edges along here where we cut our pieces off on both of these little pieces where we cut our furniture and we cut our photo. And now we can begin to put our tin together. Okay, so I'm just going to open it up. All right, and I'm sorry. No, it's really not reflecting too bad. What we need to do is we need to grab our pile of photos. Okay, oh, I forgot to get a charm for this one. Okay, I'll stop the camera and go get one. We're going to take our pile of photos, which as you can see, very neatly pile one on top of the other. Okay, and this is our first photo, Rose and Jeffrey. And then we're going to take our excessively long piece of string and we are going to now need to glue it to the back of our little living room scene here, or library. Now we want it to be able to come out a good distance when we open our box so that we can pull it out and pull it up away from the photo. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our pile of photos and our last piece of string, and I just realized I didn't punch out enough circles. Okay, hang on. Let me grab a piece of the background. No, I can use any background, but I'll just take this. And I'm going to take my little 1-inch punch, and I'm going to punch out a little circle, like so. Okay, I forgot where I left it. And we don't need to ink this one because, well, this one's not going to show. And we're just going to take and we're going to give it probably about, let's say 4 inches. Okay, it's probably a little bit longer than it needs to be. But that's okay because the string will pile into the little container. Okay. And again, in this case, we're working from right to left because that's how we want our photos to go in and then pull out. So I'm just going to put some glue on the back of this like so. You know what? I'm going to give it a little bit more. I'm going to move it over another inch. Probably more than we need, but that's all right. And again, I'm just going to take my little circle. I'm going to put my string in the middle, and I'm going to put my little circle down to hold my string in. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut off my string right at the edge of the photo. Okay, whoop, put that there. And then we're going to grab our tin and we are going to take and we are going to glue our little scene into the bottom of our tin, like so. Okay. And I'll put a lot of glue around it. Because I want it to stay inside of the box. I don't want it falling out. And again, I'm using PVA glue. You can use Distress Collage Medium, the Tim Holtz. And I would recommend that if you're going to use it and you're going to add any other elements to the inside of your box, that you stick with using the Collage Medium. I have had situations where I have used the Collage Medium with my PVA glue. And the Collage Medium, I don't know if it's because has a thicker viscosity. It doesn't seem to like to play well with other glues. I find that if I glue things down using PVA glue and then put the Collage Medium on top of it, my things tend to lift. Okay, so there we go. We have our interior, our little living room library. And now we can take our photos, which are piled very neatly, and we can lay them in like so. And I'll go after we finish this and I'll get a little charm to hang off the end there. Okay, so now we're going to finish the inside and we're going to glue down our little moth who's flying around in our library or our living room. And we're going to glue that down again. Like I said, scraping up the tin on the portions that you're going to glue on is the best way to give it, like I said, a little bit of tooth, a little bit of something to grab onto. The PVA glue, and this is why I do use the Collage Medium at different times, because the Collage Medium will grab on no matter what. But the PVA glue or whatever other glue, unless you're using some other kind of glue that I've never used, the PVA glue tends to really need something to grab to. And just roughing up those edges and getting that rough surface helps it to stay. Okay, so now we have the inside of our little photo album room scene done. And we're going to add the top of it, which is our final element, onto our box, like so. Okay, and I'm just, again, going to put on a nice amount of glue, making sure you catch up the edges, like that. Okay, and I'm just going to lay it down and try and center it on here. Now, as you can see, my little my little card is a little bit smaller in height than my box is. And that doesn't really bother me. But if you feel like you want to try and make yours a little bit longer, that's why I said 2 1/4 by 3 1/2 is a good starting point. And you can increase the size. You may want to start at 3 3/4 and then measure and fiddle. But that's the size that I find works best for me. Okay, and you could also, if you wanted to, add a trim here and there or whatever you might like. You could add some beads, a beaded trim, whatever you prefer. But there you have it. I have not done anything on the bottom because I haven't decided if I want to put this on little legs or what I want to do with it. But you could decorate the bottom if you felt like you wanted to. But there you go. Here are our little rooms and our photo albums. And here is the one that I created in 3D, which this was a little bit difficult. And if I'm feeling brave, maybe I'll do it again and show you guys how to do this one. But it is simple. You just I cut out the image of the camera, or maybe this is just a camera plate, and I glued that to the side here. I did give it a little bit of a tab to bend on. And I just placed my little my little furniture pieces onto layers of fabric foam tape, and that created the depth. Don't know if you can really tell, but it is a little bit of the depth. And my idea behind this, using these little ghostly images of these little girls, is that they're looking from their world into the present world, our world, 100 years ago. And yeah, that's how I created that one. Now that I have 2 of these, I am going to probably end up giving one away as a subscriber commenter giveaway. And I will more than likely give away the one that we made together. So yeah, look for that. And I am doing, again, reviving my brain as to how to do the comment picker. Because I do have to do that giveaway for the 1,000 subscriber giveaway, our little accordion multifold journal. So yeah, I will more than likely, because I don't really need to do a giveaway for this. So I will post a separate video so that no one gets confused. And yeah, we will do a drawing for this one. All right, let me go and look through my charms and find a charm. And that will be our final bit to this. And I will be right back. Hang on, guys.